Hey girl campers, this is Teresa. I'm the Eastern Missouri guide. I am here today to talk to you about one of the most frustrating things that we all have to do if we're driving a travel trailer, and that is backing up your travel trailer. I know it's very frustrating for a lot of people, a lot of women that are out camping, especially if we haven't had that experience in our lives. It takes a lot of practice and it can be super frustrating. So hopefully I'm going to give you some tips today that can help to make backing a little bit easier for you. I have been a truck driver for about 8 years. I went to truck driving school for 5 weeks, and we spent 75% of our time backing. And then after 5 weeks, 75% of my time spent backing, and it was a lot. We did it all the time. I still was not good at it. I did have to take the test for the CDL, and I had to take a test to get my first job, and I passed those tests. Oh my God, thank goodness. But when I would actually get to places where I had to back a truck into a dock or anything like that, it was still like, oh my God, I have no idea what I'm doing. It took me about 2 years to get really good at backing. And then even after 2 years, there are still days when I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing today. I don't know how to back. One of the first tips that I want to talk to you about is to go slow, to get out and look, and sometimes just stop. So we're going to talk about each one of those. My first tip, remember, it takes a lot of practice. You're learning, and to be patient and kind to yourself. This is a really hard thing to do, and if you're driving a recreational vehicle, you're probably not getting a ton of practice. So go as slow as you need to go. This is your trailer. If you hit something, it's your trailer that's going to be damaged. Who cares what anybody else can do or not do? You don't need to compare yourself to all those other people. I know I've been at a dock before and getting nervous because there's all these people watching me. But then I'll just stop myself and go, I'm practicing. I'm going to go as slow as I need to go. So go slow. Go as slow as you need to go. Take your time. And then the other part of this tip is get out and look. And it's called, in trucking, they call that goal. They want you to get out and look as often as you need to. One of the number one places to have accidents in trucking is backing. And of course, you're no exception to that. Backing is where you are most likely to hit and damage your trailer. So if you are feeling nervous, feeling panicky, or you're not sure what's behind your trailer, or you're just getting, just need to, see what's back there, get out and look. Stop, get out of your truck, go look around, see how your truck is angled, your trailer is angled. Just do an assessment. And the other part of get out and look is that this really helps to turn your brain back on. It helps to stop the panic that you might be feeling if you're starting to get frustrated, and it gets your brain going again. And then the other part of this tip is, if you get into trouble, just stop. Please just stop. Again, the next step for that would be get out and look, but if you're beyond that, just stop. Just stop, and that you can't do any more damage if you just stop. I've seen lots of truckers that have gotten themselves into trouble because they didn't follow that rule. Before we get into talking any more about backing, I do want to talk a little bit about driving forward. Driving forward, of course, is a lot easier than backing. So I only want to talk about two things with that. One is turns. If you're driving forward, you need a lot more room for right turns. Left turns too, but mostly the right turns. And so just make sure you're driving forward enough to give your trailer space to follow you so that it doesn't go over curbs and things like that. If you need to, you can always pull to the left a little bit to give yourself a little more space. But the proper way to do that is to pull forward further past your turn and to give yourself enough space. And the other part that I want to talk about with driving forward is when you have a trailer, you do have to follow weight restrictions on the roads. Make sure your trailer and your vehicle meet any weight restrictions there are. And of course, watch out for low clearance bridges so you don't take off the top of your trailer. So let's get back into backing. My second tip for you for learning how to back your trailer is turn to the trouble. This is one of my favorite things that I learned when I was in trucking school. I had a great teacher. She could see what you were doing from a mile away and know exactly what the problem was. And I can't tell you how many times she would look at me and go, "Teresa, where's the trouble?" And as soon as I could tell where the trouble is, I knew what to do, because you turn to the trouble. And so one of the ways that I want you to practice turn to the trouble is to start with straight backing. So go out into a parking lot or any place where you can just straight back for, at least a quarter of a mile or so. Give yourself plenty of room to just straight back. And so what you're going to do is you are going to get yourself lined up with your trailer completely straight, truck and trailer straight line. And then you're going to look at the back of your trailer from your mirrors on your vehicle, and you're going to see if you can see your tires. If you can see your tires, then use the tires. If your tires are really small and you have a pretty small trailer, it might be a little hard to see those. But if you can see your tires, that's what you're going to watch for. If you can't, find an object or a spot on your trailer that you're going to watch on both sides. And what we're going to do is we're just going to back straight up. And as you're watching that trailer, those either the tires or that mark that you identified, if you start to see that get bigger in your mirrors, or to start moving out one way or the other, you're going to turn your steering wheel to the trouble. So if you're starting to see your tires getting bigger on this side, you're going to turn your wheel just slightly to that trouble, and that should straighten it up. And then you want to bring it back to center once the correction has been made, once that wheel goes back into alignment. And you're just going to keep doing that. Just keep practicing turning to the trouble until you feel like you're really good at that. So my second tip was turn to the trouble. Whenever your trailer tires are starting to get bigger on one side or the other, you're going to turn to the trouble just a little bit, and then come back to the center once you're corrected. The next thing that we're going to talk about, the next tip that I have for you, is that your truck and trailer alignment are super important. So we're starting to talk about now actually backing into a spot. We're not straight backing anymore. Now we're thinking about backing into a spot. And so there are 3 different types of backing that you can do once you're besides straight backing. And that is 45-degree backing, 90-degree backing, and parallel parking. Parallel parking is probably not something you need to worry about. 45-degree is most likely what you're going to do, and 90 you might do sometimes in some pretty tight camp spots. So 45-degree backing is when your trailer is lined up 45 degrees to the spot you're backing into, and of course 90 is a 90-degree angle. So hopefully you know what those are. You always want to back in on the driver's side instead of the passenger side or the blind side. It's a lot easier to see your trailer from the driver's side than it is the blind side. It is possible to back in on the blind side, but I would avoid it at all costs if you can. It's pretty hard. I'm still terrible at it. So we're starting to back in. We've got either a 45 or a 90-degree backing. We're on the driver's side. So here's my third tip. One of the things that you really have to worry about when you're backing in is your truck and trailer alignment. So when we were straight backing, the truck was straight with the trailer. They're in perfect alignment. You have a straight line. So if you back up, your trailer's going to back straight up. Of course, we had to make some corrections once in a while because the road turns and things like that. But the trailer should stay straight. And so when you're starting to back into a spot, your truck is going to, you're going to have to turn your trailer somewhat to get it in to that spot. So now you're going to have your truck and your trailer are going to not, they're going to be at an angle to each other. And so that angle determines where that trailer is going to go. Once you have your trailer and your truck in an angle to each other, whatever angle that is, if you keep backing up, that trailer is going to keep going in that angle. And so if you are backing up and the angle of your trailer, and this is where getting out and look can be really helpful, and so you can go out and see where your trailer is headed based on that angle. Wherever it's headed, that's where it's going to go. Like whatever direction that angle is, that's, if you got a tree back there behind that trailer and heading in that angle, look at it like geometry. What's that line going to do? It's going to keep going that way. And so if you have it lined up with your spot and it's perfect into the spot that you want to go at this angle, so what you have to do now is get your truck and trailer lined up again in a straight line so that the trailer keeps going straight back instead of continuing along that angle. And so what you will hear people say when you get into that spot where your trailer is perfectly lined up into that spot, they're going to start saying, get under it, follow your trailer. And what that means is to get your truck and your trailer lined up in a straight line. If you do not do that, your trailer is going to keep turning. So that's my number 3 tip. Think about your truck and trailer alignment. Whichever angle your trailer is to your truck, that's how it's going to keep turning if you back up. I had something else to say about that, and I just totally went away. So the next thing we're going to talk about is setup. So when you're getting yourself set up for your backing, I just heard a little video that Janine Pettit did for Outdoorsy, and she talked about the swoosh. It could also be called an S or a snake turn, where when you're approaching your campsite where you're backing into, if you start to turn into that campsite like you're going forward, and then as soon as you get sort of starting to turn into it, if you just swoosh out or do an S or a snake turn out, then you'll get your trailer set up in a perfect 45-degree angle to your campsite. And then you're pretty close. You should be pretty close to almost straight backing into that spot. Your vehicle's still gonna be on an angle, and you'll probably want to go backwards a little at that angle. And then as it starts to get lined up in your spot, you'll want to do that thing that I said with get under it or follow it, so that you're straight backing. But that setup is really important, because if you get it set up right, it should be pretty easy to back in. It's when you don't get set up right that it can be super hard. So the other thing I'll say about setup too is that if you don't set it up right in the first place and it's not going very well, start over. Just pull out, go around, and come back and set up again. There's nothing wrong with that. You do need a lot more room for a longer trailer than a shorter trailer, so make sure when you're setting up that you're pulling out further in your setup with a longer trailer and not so far with a short trailer. Short trailer is going to react faster. Long trailer is going to take a little more time, so they need a little more room. Give yourself plenty of room. If you're doing a 90-degree angle, you want to pull really tight to the left so that you have room on the right for your truck to turn out. 45-degree, you're not hugging the left, you're pulling more out to the right because you're kind of lining yourself up already. But give yourself plenty of room if you have it. If you don't have it, that's okay. But if you do have it, use it. And then my number 6 tip is when you're backing in, as we talked about a little bit already, the angle of your your truck and your trailer, you may get into a place where your trailer is turning at an angle that if you keep going, it's going to hit something, and you don't have enough time to get straight with your trailer. You don't have enough time to follow it going backwards. And so that's when you're going to want to pull forward to get your truck and your trailer lined up together. So when you pull forward, that trailer starts to follow your truck and it will straighten up with your truck, right? And so pulling forward helps you to get lined back up. But if you don't pull forward enough, it doesn't get you lined up enough for backing up again. So you got to be really effective with that by using all the space that you have. So if you've got, like, pull as far forward as you can so that you're straight. And I know that feels a little weird because you're like, I'm almost there and I don't want to pull all the way out. It feels like I'm starting all over again, but you're actually not starting all over again. You're using your space and you're being more effective by pulling forward. You're getting things more lined up. And so use as much space as you have. If you don't have very much space, then you're going to have to pull forward a little and then get it adjusted going backwards and then pull forward again. So you're not doing it wrong because you have to pull forward. That is how you back a trailer. So I think that's all the tips that I have for you today. If you have any questions, or if you have any comments, or if there's anything I didn't cover, or you have something to add, I'd love to hear about it. My name's Teresa. I'm the Eastern Missouri guide for Girl Camper. And again, I've been truck driving for 8 years, and I love giving backing lessons. So if you are in Missouri, or if we connect around a campfire somewhere, I'd be happy to give you a lesson. Follow Eastern Missouri Girl Camper on Facebook, Instagram, and of course on the Girl Camper website. Bye.